So I'm talking to Poorvi Chothani today. She's an immigration lawyer with offices in Florida in the US and in Mumbai. And she's an expert on different categories of US visas that thousands of Indians use. So we are going to talk to her today and ask her questions regarding the requirement for in-person interview, which has recently been announced by the US government for the largest number of people. And this rule is going to take effect from September 2nd. So, and it's going to impact a whole lot of Indians. So, Purvi, if you can tell us what this rule means for several people who in the past were not required to appear for an in-person interview and what it means now for them.
So hi, Ishani. Thank you for having me here. So basically, the need for a visa interview was there all along. It's part of the statute that all US visa applicants must be interviewed in person. But the government has the power to change this requirement to meet certain circumstances. So they had changed this requirement even earlier, and people who were applying for the same visa category within 12 months of it expiring were allowed to apply in Dropbox. That means just drop their application off at the visa application centers, the VACs. That was expanded to quite a few visa categories, including tourist, business, H1B L, L2, H4, etc. During COVID, what happened was there was a huge backlog of visa interviews, and so appointments were hard to schedule. Officers were not on post, etc. So they expanded this visa waiver provision to apply to applicants who were applying for renewals within 48 months of its previous visa expiring. Now, they also expanded it that you could apply for this visa at any post. Earlier, it used to be only at the post that issued the visa. When I say post, I mean consular post. Then, few months ago, they again narrowed it down and they said, okay, you can apply for a renewal within 12 months of the visa expiring, provided you're applying at the same consular post that issued the visa. So this was the provision up until now. Now they've announced that they're going to stop visa interview waivers for almost all categories except a few. So like the diplomat category, the crew category, some of them are not going to be subject to visa interviews provided they meet the criteria of visa interview waivers. The good news is that tourists and business travelers are not going to be impacted by this. So B1, B2 visa applicants who are applying within 12 months of the visa expiring will still benefit from the visa interview waiver. But otherwise, almost everybody else is going to be impacted by this. So I'm happy to share more if you want, Ishani.
Yes, so if we can break it down a little category wise, so if we could start with Indian students who are applying in the US, there are, like last year, there was a record number of around 1.5 lakh Indian students who went to study in the US. And, they are within a very tight schedule of time from when they get their papers from the universities to applying and getting their visas and going to join classes. So, but we also know that a large number of students have to, in any case, apply for in person. But could you sort of mention the categories of students who were actually exempt from in-person before, and from 2nd September, they will also have to appear for in-person? Who are these category of students who were beneficiaries earlier but no longer?
So F1 student visas, which is the most popular category that Indian students use. So F1 visa applicants, first-time applicants have to apply for a visa and subject themselves to the interview. So first-time applicants must go for an interview. But there are students whose visa has expired, but their education has not been completed, or they've moved on to another level of education. They need a new visa stamp to return to the US when they leave the United States. So let's say they come home for Christmas vacation or they came home for their summer break and now they're going back to the US to complete their education. They need a new visa stamp. They cannot benefit from the visa interview waiver anymore. They'll have to look for an appointment. And this impacts thousands of students.
Right. So that's a sizable number. So if we now come to the H-1B and, age category visas, which again are huge numbers, Indians are the largest beneficiaries of this category again. So there would be quite many thousand of such, visa holders who were so far able to benefit from the Dropbox or not appearing in person, who will now have to appear. So if you could give us the details of roughly what kind of numbers are we looking at here.
So I won't be able to give you the exact numbers of people who apply for H-1B visas a second time around, right? First time applicants must go for an interview. But here we're looking at that category of H-1B and H-4 visa holders who are in the United States in valid H-1B status, valid H-4 status, but they need to leave the country either to go on vacation, to visit their parents, just to take a break. And they leave the country to return to the US to continue working or continue living with their family who's working in the United States, they need a new visa stamp. And that means that it is best that they prepare in advance before they leave the country and book their visa appointment, because what we are thinking and what we're anticipating is that after September 2nd, the visa interview availability is going to be very, very backlogged. As it is, there's a huge delay. Routinely, if you're looking for a tourist visa or a business visa appointment, you're not getting it until middle of 2026. You can be vigilant and find something earlier, but routinely it's taking so long. So looking at those backlogs, we are going to see problems for the H-1B and H-4 workers as well. However, the US government does prioritize appointments for these categories. The B1, B2s, in my opinion, get the least importance. The other categories get more importance, with the students coming on top and then the H-1B workers coming next, and so on and so forth.
I mean, right now, roughly, depending on which consular office applicant will be going to, or the embassy in Delhi or any of the consular offices, the time that it takes to get a visa appointment is anything between around 6 months to around 1.5 years, I think. So you feel that this new rule, which brings in a whole lot of more candidates who have to appear for in-person interview, that timeline is going to increase a lot for many candidates, for many applicants, right?
That is
So I mean, you mentioned about the B1, B2. Again, India is one of the largest countries for their consular operations when it comes to the visitor and tourist category. In that, you're saying there hasn't been too much of a change, and maybe quite many applicants will still be exempt from in person. But even in that, I think some rigidity has been brought in terms of the time elapsed, as well as the age based waiver, right? If
yes,
you could explain
yes,
that a little.
yes. So only a limited group of applicants, such as children below the age of 14 and children over the age of 79, who were eligible under the narrow pre-existing exemptions, may qualify for exemption still. But that is also they actually have a system. It's an algorithm on their portal where you book the appointment, and when you as you answer the questions, the system then pushes you either to an interview waiver appointment or to an interview appointment. So we've got to see how that algorithm plays out. But at the moment, we are still in the pre-September 2nd phase, so it's still business as usual. You did mention that appointments are available 6 to 18 months out, right? The delay. That is very true. But there are applicants who are watching the system frequently and they keep checking their system and they carefully monitor it and they're able to get earlier appointments. But the challenge is this: earlier, on one visa fee, on one MRV receipt, you could keep booking an appointment, canceling, keep booking and canceling, so that you booked one after 1.5 years, and as soon as you found something earlier, you could change it and change it again. However, now that has also changed. They've only allowed one change. So you book one appointment and then you have one opportunity to change it. So this earlier thing that they could do of booking it far out and keep changing, that has also gone. That also has